hearing for the proposed revisions to the Enfield Town Charter. Can we have roll call, please?
Counselor Sakala.
Here.
Counselor Crisati.
Here.
Counselor Hendrickson.
Here.
Counselor Ludwig.
Here.
Counselor Mangini.
Here.
Counselor Nasuda.
Here.
Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
Here.
Counselor Russo.
Here.
Counselor Santinella.
Here.
And Counselor Ungary.
Here.
11 members are present, none are absent.
Thank you, Sheila. The following notice of public hearing was published in the Hartford Courant on Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. Town of Enfield legal notice. Notice is hereby given that the Town of Enfield shall hold a public hearing in the Enfield Town Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, on Monday, May 12th, 2025, at 7 p.m. to allow interested residents an opportunity to comment on the proposed revisions to the Enfield Town Charter. Dated this 6th day of May, 2025, Sheila M. Bailey, Town Clerk. The ground rules for the public hearing are as follows. There is no time limit, but I ask that each person not take up too much time so everyone will have the opportunity to speak. After each person who desires has had one chance to speak, I shall permit those individuals who desire a second chance. After those individuals who desire to speak a second time, I shall permit those individuals who desire a third, fourth, etc. time. Please refrain from personalities. Thank you. First up is Zachary Zanoni.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Zach Zanoni, 6 Howard Street, Enfield, Connecticut. I'm coming before you speaking as a member of the Charter Revision Commission. I wanted to speak on the 2 items that were sent back to the Charter Revision Commission, and the first is regarding the budget referendum. I am incredibly proud that such a diverse group of people were able to come to a consensus and send to you unanimously a 5% request for the budget. That was a number that some people thought was too low, some people thought was too high, and some individuals, such as myself and some other members of the commission, who simply didn't want a budget referendum at any threshold whatsoever. But regardless, in the interest of compromise and in the belief that this is probably in the best interest of the town of Enfield, given the tax increases, I voted for it along with some other members who are still hesitant because I quite frankly believe compromise is the best thing to do. I'm a little frustrated of why this is returning to the commission again. And I recall the chairman of the commission noting that if we walked out of the room at 5%, that it would stay at 5% on the council floor, and that the chairman of the commission noted that he would fight the council on this if they tried to fight for it lower. And I know that he noted his support during that council meeting that he was sticking at 5, but I didn't see any effort to note and really fight and pressure the caucus that he's a part of to stick at what we unanimously sent to you. This proposal is a significant improvement from what we have now. We have no restraints on spending here in the town of Enfield. This proposal makes significant progress. I know it's not what some people want on either side of the aisle, and that is why I feel so comfortable supporting it, because I understand that we both sides of the aisle gave a lot to get where we are. And I really think that that 5% number is responsive to what we heard during the public hearing, is responsive to the concerns that were mentioned once we saw a lot of the most significant tax increases would have never met the original 7% that we discussed, and I think what we sent forth was reasonable. Secondly is the flag policy. This is the 3rd time that we're going to be reconsidering this proposal. Now, I have noted multiple times that I have a foundational belief that I respect those who come before this commission and have come before the council noting their opposition to flying flags that are non-governmental. I find it respectful to believe that you should only fly the American flag. I think that's a valid point of philosophy. But what I take issue with is when we start to misconstrue the law. What happened recently in a few cities here in the state of Connecticut was, I think, summed up easily by the City of Hartford spokesperson that said the city flagpole is not a public forum. The city does not solicit flag-raising requests. Any flag raised is consistent with the previously adopted city council policy. What the town of Enfield had previously done was not against the law. We could sue people for anything. People do it all the time. I could sue someone right now if I felt like it. It doesn't mean that it holds up in court. The city council in Hartford, what they did is made their flagpole available to portray messages that the city believed in. Now, from a point of philosophy, you can believe that's right or wrong, and I respect that. And I understand people are going to come here tonight and say that's wrong. And I think that's a valid point. But to argue that what's transpiring is illegal and unconstitutional, I think is unfair and an invalid argument. I am incredibly proud of the document that we put forward. And I understand that this document is not what everyone had hoped for. It's not transformational change, but what it is a document that was brought together by two parties who put a lot of time and effort and had significant debates on facts and the merits of every argument from both sides of the aisle. And I think that it's in the best interest that come November, one party or the other doesn't have to campaign for or against this proposal. And we can be united behind this charter as one Enfield, not one party against the other. And I know there's plenty of people on the Republican side of the aisle and plenty of people on the Democratic side of the aisle that are dying to make this a political issue. They want something in this charter that they can campaign about in November. I don't want it to be a political issue, and I think the document we have now is something we can unite behind, and I think we should support it as the commission sent to the council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Zach. Next, Patrick Thibodeau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for this hearing. This is about the referendum. If you move forward with this and Enfield holds a referendum on banning the pride flag, we're going to be in very rare territory. Very few communities have done this anywhere in North America, and I mean a referendum. We don't have to guess what the fallout might be. We can look at Westlock, a town in Alberta, Canada. In 2023, students in the Gay Straight Alliance at the R.F. Staples Secondary School painted a rainbow pride crosswalk. The town council approved it. It sparked backlash. Some residents argued that public spaces should remain neutral. A petition was launched, signatures were gathered, and a binding plebiscite was held. The opposition narrowly won by just 24 votes. The town council opposed the outcome but couldn't override it. Westlock became a symbol not of neutrality but of exclusion. I reached out to Westlock Councilwoman Lori Morey, and she wrote back. Here's what she shared in an email. Your community does not want to become synonymous with hate or top the Google searches with very unflattering division. I believe that 1/3 of our community were responding to intolerance, unfounded fears, and incomplete explanations. 1/3 knew what was at stake, that community is for everyone, and that 1/3 were apathetic, uninformed, and did not vote. Healthy communities should be places where everyone feels seen, valued, heard, and like they belong. Healthy, safe, and inclusive environments are more creative, productive, and have better outcomes, she wrote. She continued, reputation and trust are fragile. In economic development, being on the map for something negative is a major hurdle. One bad story can undo everything. Choose to be that welcoming, industrious, positive community that people want to live in. It costs nothing to be kind, and it turns out it isn't scary. I could not have said it better myself. Her message is clear. A referendum like this risks Enfield's reputation, fosters exclusion, emboldens hostility, and undermines a sense of belonging that every community depends on. This could deepen tensions in our town. It might even increase bullying in our schools. If you don't think that's possible, I encourage you to speak with experts in our school district before deciding. And as Councilwoman Morey notes, this also has economic consequences. It can hurt our reputation with potential investors, employers, and new residents, and especially considering we're going to be trying to draw in new businesses to our mall area. This is not something we want to risk. And also, some of our existing businesses like Costco are very adamant about their inclusion policies. Let's be honest, we don't need this referendum. It's not about legal risk. It's a political move meant to energize a base and cement control in November. And it does so at the expense of our neighbors, our unity, and our future. Thank you very much.
One point of clarification, Patrick. You said council member who?
Councilmember Laura Mori, M-O-R-I.
Oh, you're talking the council up there.
Yes,
Okay.
this is the email she sent to me.
Okay, thank you. Lucian.
Okay, I'm here to talk about the flag policy. I think the flag policy as it stands should be put into the town charter. Government buildings and flagpoles should display only government flags. The government's not in any business to support one group or the other, be it a majority or a minority group. So only government flags. Other Connecticut towns that are facing possible lawsuits or troubles with flag policies and going against their own flag policies include the city of Hartford, Ridgefield, Darien, New Canaan, Wethersfield, and Colchester. So it's not just Enfield. I think no organizational flag should be flown, be it a veterans organization. You know, veterans organizations are near and dear to me. Organizational flags have no business on the government flagpoles. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, church groups, sports teams, any club or group do not belong on the government building. Having the policy keeps it there for 10 years. To change it periodically creates confusion and chances for lawsuits. Hartford had the policy and went against their own policy, which started creating an issue for them. I don't want to see that. It's not about any group. It's strictly about protecting the town of Enfield. And lastly, the last one, again, we would go back to the Boston one. They lost the lawsuit at the Supreme Court level for $2 million. And again, I said it once before. Their comments was, keep the flag policy the way it is, let anybody put it up and create confusion and chaos. Become choosy on which ones you put up there, and you open yourself up to First Amendment lawsuits. Or create the policy and say, this is it, end of discussion. It eliminates any question, any possibility of a lawsuit. So like I said, we don't need to open ourselves up to anything, and the policy should go in as it stands now to include the government flags and the military service flags, because those military service flags are part of the government. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucian. Bill Kiner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Bill Kiner. I live at 4 Abbeywood Drive in a town that used to be called, at one point, an all-American town. I truly believe there's still hope for us yet. I'd like to address the issue of municipal trash hauling that's currently in the Charter Revision Commission.
It is not, Bill.
It is no longer in there.
It's never been in there. Trash has not been in the charter revision.
Was there ever an opportunity, was ever a time where the council was looking at going to privatization?
Yes, but that's not what this is
It's not
about.
going to be on the, okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you very much for that. The other issue I want to talk about really briefly then is the trigger mechanism that you're talking about regarding setting up a referendum for the budget. My fear is that if you set that trigger mechanism too low, what's going to happen is, and look, we're not prophets. We just don't know if a crisis could occur. We don't know about state and federal funding. But if a crisis does occur, the council's hands are going to be tied, because what you're going to have to do is put aside time to get the referendum in motion. It's costly, it's time-consuming, and I would advise this council to seriously don't go very low on that trigger mechanism. I guess the compromise was 5%. Even that is pretty low. You're looking at an inflation rate of approximately 2.5%. That's pretty standard. And if you go with a 4% trigger mechanism, that doesn't give you much leeway. So I truly hope that you reconsider that 4%. And thank you for setting me straight on the privatization issue. I want to be on record that I am opposed to it, though. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Next is Joe.
Joannis, 22 Hamilton Court, Hazardville. I'm here for the flag policy on the charter revision. I believe that the flag policy should be put into the charter revision, incorporated into that. And I think Lucian stole most of my thunder as for the reasons, but basically there's one thing that I believe in, and it's Americanism, and I believe that that would promote Americanism. And I also believe that having it put into the charter would prevent lawsuits. As Lucian had mentioned and others had mentioned, there's several lawsuits going on around town or in the state. And I don't think it would be a smart thing to do to not put it in. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, that's all I have on the list. Does anybody else like to come up to speak? Ma'am?
Oh, it's on. Okay. Chris Lang, 90 South Road, Enfield. Just want to make one comment when I'm thinking about the referendum in terms of cost. It occurs to me that when we have a referendum that is politicized and maybe triggered by a budget that's got a low figure, we're going to have people that need to be educated. Or, if it's politicized, what will happen is you're going to have a bunch of people who will be hearing in ads and media about one issue only, probably the flag, and they'll vote up or down an entire set of your committees, weeks and weeks and months of work. I sat there along with one or two other people. Every time you had a meeting, I know how long and how hard that committee worked, how much went into it, and how much you lose if it's a vote up and down that the public will do based on a politicized issue. So consider that. You will lose all of that work if they vote it down, as that's all the entire charter revision is voted down. They don't get to pick. The public gets to say yes, and they say no. Consider how much you lose if you politicize that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Angela?
Angela Foss, 16 Crescent Beach Drive. I just want to thank all of you. I mean, every one of you. Even you, Chris. I mean, all the work that you all put in, all of you. It's a thankless job, but we sit here and be like, you know the way I feel. I want the full budget. I want the full education budget. I don't want a penny less. You know that. You know me well enough to know that last year I pushed for the whole 8.7% budget. But I'm not here to say that. I'm just here to say thank you very much for the way that I could look at you on the screen, each of you, and all of you, I like. You know, I don't have any favorites. I like all of you. I think you are all working very hard for this town, thanklessly, and I know that you all have your own ideas, and we all do. That's what human beings are. We all have our own opinions, but you know, I appreciate you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Angela. Anyone else for the first time? Patrick.
Thank you again. Mr. Mayor, with your permission.
Name and address.
Oh, sorry,
again, Pat.
Patrick Thibodeau, 20 Cora Street. With your permission, I give the letter to the town clerk that I got, the email. Would you like that? Okay. Yeah, this is regarding the tax issue, the referendum on that. You know, most of my recent tax increase wasn't due to spending; it was due to revaluation. Between the fiscal year 21 and 23, 60% of my property tax increase came from revaluation, you know, specifically the 27% increase in my home assessment. And I calculated this by asking a simple question: how much would my taxes have gone up if the town had only increased its budget and not changed my assessment? The actual town budget increased just 5.4% over those 2 years, barely keeping up with inflation. You know, be more specific, the largest budget increase in the last 10 years was in fiscal 22, where the budget went up 5.5%, but there was no tax increase because of a strong revenue that year. In fiscal year 23, when the effects of the revaluation really hit, the budget actually declined by 1%, according to the data presented by the finance director at the charter meeting. But residents saw the hefty, you know, first part of the revaluation impact. So, yeah, taxpayers are angry, but it's primarily, you know, a lot of it has to do with revaluation and redistribution of the tax burden. And this makes me think that the referendum could mislead residents. They may think that a limit on the budget is actually a limit on their taxes, and nothing could be further from the truth. The budget could actually decline, and they can still get walloped on taxes, especially if we see another shift in the 2026 revaluation. And the other thing that really bothers me about this, the referendum thing, is I think it creates some serious risk to the town's financial stability. Right? So let's say you do set it at 4% or even 5%. And that may seem reasonable, but ask yourself, what happens if we face a natural disaster, or the town loses a lawsuit and owes a multi-million-dollar judgment, $5–10 million that has to be paid out? What if we have a multiple infrastructure failure, more sewer lines or pumping stations, and we have to infuse all this cash in, right? Are we going to roll the dice and hope the voters approve emergency spending in time? And I couldn't figure this out, but did we set a minimum turnout requirement? In other words, budget referendums typically attract very low turnout. Could 5% of the voters derail the town's response to a crisis? You know, personally, I think we elect town council every 2 years to handle this complexity and make hard decisions. I think we should let them do the job that we elected them to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'd like to close the public hearing. Thank you, everyone, for coming out this evening. Next, we're going to move on to, do I need to
Never mind, I'm sorry. We didn't have a town for that exact time for the special meeting, sorry.
All right, so we're starting at 7:30. Thank you. Yeah, we can motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, I'd like to call the meeting back to order, and I want to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we are going to move into new business, and this is the budget adoption. So I'll entertain the main budget resolution. Resolve that page 4, general fund revenue summary, and page 8, summary of expenditures by function of the town budget as submitted by the town manager, and the estimates for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, including estimates of receipts and expenditures and recommendations of said town of Enfield for water pollution control, pages 70, 72 through 77. Social Services Fund, pages 80 through 84 and 86 through 97. Department of Library Funds, pages 100 and 102 through 111. Insurance Fund, pages 114, 115 through 119. Informational Technology Fund, pages 122 and 124 through 129. Animal Control Fund, pages 132 and 133 through 134. Emergency Medical Services, pages 136 and 138 through 141. And Capital Improvement Funds, pages 144 through 146. Be accepted and approved along with the amendments specified on the attached schedule by the Town Council of the Town of Enfield. Date prepared 5/6/2025. Prepared by the Finance and Town Manager.
So moved.
Motion's made and seconded. Questions?
Yes. I would, Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to amend Amendment 16 under the social service budget. The social service community initiatives, Network Against Domestic Abuse, $17,000, Amplify, $3,000, the Educational Resource for Children, $13,000, Enfield Food Shelf, $17,000, Kite, $12,000, Enfield People for People, $13,000, the Enfield Homefront Team, $8,500, and Loaves and Fishes, $15,000, which is a total of $98,500 to be put back into the budget.
Second.
Okay, well, considering I've been working on this all day with John Santinella, I love how you guys jumped the gun on this one to put the motion forward on it. Can John Wilcox come up, please?
Yes.
So the point was on this is the Board of Education actually gave the town of Enfield their first check for the reimbursement of the $1.7 million. It came into the building today. I saw the check, I talked to the town manager, and I contacted Councilman Santinella, and my proposal for the check, which is just over $330,000, was to reinstate the $98,000 that Councilman Crissati just mentioned, and to take the balance of that check and add it to the Board of Education's budget. So that's what we had discussed. I've been in the building all day dealing with John, Chris, and John about it. And I know, John, you said there were some issues with doing this tonight and changing. Can you explain, please?
I would like to explain
Go ahead,
first, and then
Chris.
perhaps John
Yep.
could elaborate.
Yep.
Because it isn't really that complicated. It came in late in the afternoon, the request, and I know it was by joint leadership. However, John has prepared all of the documents based upon all of the meetings and what we've put up and we've discussed. So saying yay or nay to the idea. It's for John to have changed all of the numbers. He physically would not have been able to redo it because the mill rate has to be adopted. We're on the edge. We have a statutory time frame. We have to do this by Wednesday, but all the numbers are in today, Monday. So what John has opined, and you can ask him more specifically, you can accomplish the same thing by doing it outside of the budget in regard to, and it would be effective, you could discuss it in leadership and then at your next meeting in a week, because I know people have different ideas about it, and I think they want to be heard. And if it is acted upon favorably, the $100,000 will go July 1st to all of those. It would be part of our budget. And the money that you are giving to the Board of Ed back, that will become part of their MBR. Now, remember last time when we'd given them the $6 million, it was different. We paid off obligations they had, so it didn't affect the minimum budget requirement. This, my understanding, is you want to be able to fund a couple of more positions with the board, so the superintendent would like to know that it will be part of the budget for next year. John has assured me that doing it this way, that check he received today will be put into the general fund, and then at your discretion at the next meeting, if you would like, you can reinstate the funding to the nonprofits. You can direct the balance to the Board of Ed. It will be part of their MBR for next year. And what we were very afraid of, even if John could have done it in time, what if you didn't agree and it didn't pass and then we don't have a budget? That would not have been something that I think would have been acceptable to you or the public. So you can accomplish the same thing by a different means if that is what you would like to do.
Right, and I'd like to clarify that. If we did this tonight, okay, would the Democrats support the budget as amended with the amendment they just made? Councilman Santinella told me no. Not one of them would support the entire budget. And I have members on my side that will not support the amendment. So I wouldn't have 6 votes to pass this budget tonight. So I think this way works. And like I said, Councilman Santinella was fully aware of this. I'm kind of surprised that Councilman Crissati dropped this on us, trying to get out front on it, but it doesn't work tonight, and we will address it Monday. John's in leadership with the deputy mayor and myself, and we will try to make it a priority to be on Monday's agenda. I've been working with the superintendent too, and, I think this is a good thing. I do believe that these line items should be a voluntary donation by residents, but to cut them off at the knees with no notice. And I know Councilman Hendrickson has a lot of valid questions because we didn't cut the whole budget. We cut 100 or 98,000 of it. Well, where's the rest of the money? How come these lines are blank right now? That doesn't mean they're all getting zeros. We don't know how it's going to be broken up, and this is what he wants to know, and that's why he cannot support this tonight. So at this point, there's a motion on the floor, and it's seconded. So can we have a roll call on the motion, please? Can we do a hand vote, Sheila, or would you rather?
You may do a hand vote for amendments, yes.
Go ahead, Mike.
So I just want, again, budget night, we go through 3 weeks of tough negotiations, and again, I guess protocol doesn't mean anything anymore, and that's fine. But again, that's why we go through what we go through, because when you get to the budget night, you're not supposed to be making amendments. To your point, it puts the finance director, that's why we hammered out, we had the meeting last week where everyone had a chance to say yay or nay. Sorry, this is just not the way to do things. And again, if we had done this when we were in a minority, made an amendment, folks would be going nuts that we weren't following procedure. I just don't think this is the right way of doing it. Sorry.
You did.
No, we didn't.
Yes, you did.
All right, point of order. So this is, I think, my 14th or 15th budget, and when I was on the council before, we did each amendment individually. We didn't do them as a group. I don't know when this changed, and there were amendments all the time. And I know there was a lot of changes, and it was not fun for the finance director at the time. So seeing that, roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry, raise of hands, Sheila. I'm sorry, we agreed. All in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Okay, the amendment fails. Go ahead, Councilman Santinella.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure, are you going to do all of these in one block
Yes.
tonight? Okay, that's fine. I wanted to just say we have no objection to that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Are there any other, go ahead, Councilman Mangini.
Oh, thank you. Now I'm totally confused here. Okay, so the fact that we are not doing amendment by amendment, I get that. I am not supporting either budget. Okay, that's not a surprise. I'm not supporting the town budget. I think the cuts are too draconian. I'm not supporting the Board of Education budget because it's going to hurt deeply our school system. So my question, and maybe my question through our mayor to our wonderful town clerk, is how, again, aside from just voting no, is there any other method that I should be using? Just say no? Is that about right? Okay, thank you.
Councilman Sakala.
Thank you. So I know we're doing this as one big block, so I kind of just wanted to make my statement now so I didn't have to do it later.
Yep.
All right. So I wrote my statement so I would stay on track. So I will not be supporting this budget as a whole. We've been here before. We have failing infrastructure, buildings falling apart, overworked teachers and staff, underfunded schools, the list goes on and on. The way I look at this is you cannot claim to care about seniors and then cut the programs that benefit them, like a senior home repair program and the volunteer tax credit program. You can't claim to care about our buildings and then cut the CIP projects that will help fix and replace things like boilers, gym floors, and things of that nature. You can't claim to support nonprofits and then cut their funding, the way I look at it. And you can't claim to care about our schools and our kids and then not fund the Board of Education at the rate that their superintendent of schools is asking for. Just because you say you support schools doesn't mean it's true when your actions show otherwise. People have their reasons for voting their way, and I have my reasons for voting mine. Good schools mean younger families will want to move here, which increases property values, increases the need for housing, and increases our grant list. This is how you grow a community. Underfunding, and actually, I'm going to use a different term, not supporting. So not supporting our schools, because that's what we're doing, is not the way you grow a community. Sadly, I can't pretend that some people didn't vote for this to happen. Some people in this town did, and they're getting exactly what they voted for. Not me, and not so many people who I've spoken to over the last year. The devastation of last year's budget is painfully obvious. Talk to any teacher, support staff, administrator, parent, or child. In my opinion, this budget shows that the town does not support education. We do not support our teachers and our staffs, and we do not support our children getting the best possible education we can provide for them. This is the way I look at it, and for that reason, I'm a no on the budgets. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Sakala. Councilman Santinella. Oh, you didn't? I'm sorry, I thought I saw your hand. Okay. Deputy Mayor Pisner.
This budget was very difficult, to say the least. We as a council caucused, deliberated more hours than I can count, and that doesn't include texts and emails. We were open with all our meetings, televised each one of them so residents could watch openly what we were doing. There was no way we were going to make everybody happy, but that's not our job. Our job is to do what is right for Enfield. Last year, because of our conservative budgeting, we had a zero increase, and we were able to still fund the BOE $5.4 million to help them get out of their financial problem. Yet we were still able to complete 2 major sewer projects, buy new ambulances, 5 new cruisers, and with the help of dedicated staff, we're attracting new businesses to Enfield. We've also been successful with obtaining grants from our state through our hardworking state officials. We started this budget with a proposed tax increase of $700 per average household. And tonight, this budget is approximately $220 per year increase per average household.
I am not going to lie. I pushed to raise the revenue so that we could come in with another zero. But I was told by the experts it was too risky in this economy. So I said, fine. I have listened, and I have heard many of you say, you're fine with a larger increase. I've also heard our teachers say, I'm doing more with less. Well, if we had raised our budget this much, we would have asked every resident to do more with less. So all in all, I believe this is a fair budget that took every resident into consideration. And honestly, in the last election, I received 3,800 votes. Those votes represented to me people who put their trust in me, not to make the easier popular decision, but to make the hard decisions. So tonight, I will stand with this budget that we have worked so hard on. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilman
I think
Ludwig.
it's interesting. I think human nature is very interesting, right? I think definition of what is fair, what isn't fair. You know, whether folks want to claim $10 million was wrongly spent, whatever happened, bottom line is the budget was $10 million over than what it was budgeted for. The council stepped up and covered almost $6 million of that cost. Again, and then we gave an increase. And we're giving a 4% increase this year. And we're trying to set up so a referendum that'll be about $200 million. It's a lot of money, okay? Folks may not think it is, but it's a lot of money. It's going to be the largest referendum this town's ever seen. So you have to have some fiscal responsibility before you can ask the taxpayers to take on even more debt. To some of my colleagues, we right now have $13 million in debt that we cover to pay projects in town, both school and municipal. So it's both. We cover roads, which the voters pay for. We've covered roofs. I mean, these are all things that have been covered, and yet it's just, I'm amazed that people don't sit back and say, man, you get a lot. The goal is to get as much done with as little as possible, especially at the municipal level when everything flows downstream. We've had this conversation. I mean, again, it's just amazing that that's only the conversation, that it just has to be more. There's no definition. You can go, you can kind of look a different way, think differently. I mean, throw out some different ideas, but there's only so much the local taxpayer can take on, and the local property owner, you know, and it's, you have to be able to, like every homeowner that does with their home, they decide what they have to purchase and what they can afford and what they cannot afford. Even though they may need new windows, they have to get a new boiler because they have to be hot in the winter, or warm in the winter, excuse me. So that's what you have to do at the municipal level. And I mean, we're right under a mill. We're still getting a tremendous amount done. And yet we're trying to also understand, again, people are overtaxed. At some point, you got to look back at the whole, from your federal, state, and local taxes. And I'm sorry, your tax dollars aren't spent wisely at every level of government. And at some point, you have to say, well, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept the same answer year over year, that I have to raise taxes. I mean, gosh, the conversation has to change. This is, the one individual said it right. This is not sustainable, and we're at a very dangerous point when it comes to putting so much burden on the people who already work very hard for the money that they can keep after the government takes most of it, and then to be able to afford, you know, their property taxes as we come up to another reval, which is a whole nother, again, issue of, again, people who take care of their homes are the ones that get the burden. So, again, I would personally would have been okay using fund balance to get to a no tax increase. Understand there's some risk involved, so I compromised. But for me, I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for trying to get people to make it affordable, get things done, and also understand that, again, everyone who works for a living, and after they look at their paycheck, you understand, you know, most of us are working poor because you can't do a lot of things you used to be able to do because most of your money goes to the government. And I'm sorry, I'm not okay with that. I'm just speaking for myself as an individual, but I'm also understand things that you need to spend money to get things done, which is what we're doing. It's a balance, and you know, again, to think that we can afford 6-7% increases year over year, and it's what you pay in a mill rate. So there's ways of, you know, again, finding revenues in the budget, but it's what the mill rate is. That's what the taxpayer pays. And so I think to get it under a mill, still get things done, and also give the schools 4%, to get prepared for what will approximately be a $200 million referendum to redo the elementary schools after the taxpayers have funded the high school and the middle school is pretty impressive in a 10-year period. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Jim, do you have anything? I can't see you, so I don't know.
I'm okay, Kenny. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jim. Okay, so I'm just going to say this. This is, Councilman Sakala is correct. Everybody has a right to their opinion, and this is my opinion. If we want to go political, the town of Enfield, under Republican leadership, took the school buildings over. 2008, maybe, 2009, because they were grossly underfunded through the Board of Education. Now, I can honestly say the town of Enfield hasn't done much better because we've been trying to play catch-up, and it's tough. But what I can say is under the Republicans, we have pretty much a brand-new high school. Fact. We have pretty much a brand-new junior high. Fact. We're moving forward a referendum to have brand-new elementary schools, the same exact way we did the high school and the junior high. Fact. Where it's stalled out. We did cut Alcorn's gym floor. And the reason we cut it is because we, and I believe some of the Democrats are on board with us, are looking to reorganize some of the town's buildings and get rid of some of the storage lockers that cost us $1 million a year to keep open and heated. We're looking to reorganize all of that. And by doing that, Alcorn will be utilized 100% as a school building again, and therefore would be eligible for a 70% reimbursement by the state of Connecticut. So it would join the modernization referendum that's going out. That's a no-brainer. I would love my citizens to pay 30 cents on the dollar. And that's the motive for that. As far as the boiler, we did fund to fix it. And we have no choice. The roofs, everybody, for 3 years, what's going on? Ceiling tiles are falling in. Nothing's getting done, even though you, the residents, passed a referendum, how many years ago?
About 4.
4 years ago, 5 years ago, and it stalled out again. Nothing got done. You know, are we doing the referendum? Aren't we? This and that. Well, we're tired of talking about it. And we agreed to fund the roofs if the state doesn't. And we've moved them forward. Parkman just got approved at the state to have a brand new roof put on it. And again, hopefully it's a 70% reimbursable project. Stowe is non-reimbursable, but we still agreed to move forward. They need to be done, and we're willing to move forward. As Deputy Mayor Pisner said, last year was a zero, but we had a healthy fund balance. It was good times. It built itself back up after helping the Board of Education out of the financial crisis they inherited, and we were able to recover. Not 100%, and neither were they. And I think we're passing a budget tonight that is fair, and I think everybody can live with it. The Board of Education is also, the superintendent has been on the phone with me discussing the payment that they sent, and the budget meetings have been televised, and there is no secret. From day one, I didn't want the money back from them. I said it the night that the board or the council agreed to lend them 1.7. They do not have a revenue stream to pay us back. So to hand them $350,000, for them to hand it back to us, that's ridiculous accounting. So we came up with a solution where, like I said earlier, with the nonprofits, I do believe they should have some sort of a heads up what's going on. And I also have questions from social services on how they're going to distribute the remaining funds in that account. So to say that all of these were cut to zero at this point, I don't think that's the truth. And that's what Councilman Hendrickson wants to find out, exactly what's going on before he agrees or disagrees on how to refund this position or these nonprofits or not. So By waiting till next week, it gives us the opportunity to get everybody the answers they wanted. So as of tonight, the 100,000 is cut from the budget, but as the town manager said, the finance director assured me that the board's money will get put into the account where they can use it for staffing. Now, I know this is going to be hard to say, but I had a conversation with somebody out of JFK. The superintendent, teachers, administrators have been coming and saying it's pretty bad. Things are pretty bad in JFK right now. It's a time bomb waiting to go off. And the person I sat down with and had a long talk with was my grandson, who goes to JFK. And I wanted to hear it firsthand from the students. And he said, Pa, it's pretty bad. Now, my grandson is high honors. He tries to stay away from stuff like that, but he has to walk by the twin ranks. And he walked by the fight where a child got cut. And it's unacceptable. You all know how I feel about safety within our schools, and I will do anything to protect our children and staff while they're under our care. So if this additional $230,000 back to the schools will fund help at JFK, I'm all in. And that's why I want to address it. I believe Councilman Santinella agrees with me on this, and I have to apologize to everybody else because, as the town manager said, this was this afternoon. And so it really didn't give anybody a lot of time to address it. So we will address it Monday night. But all in all, I want to thank everybody for the time that they spent on this budget. I really hope that the public watch the meetings. If they didn't, they do, because it's very informative. You know, the same people that are telling me to cut police officers and fund these nonprofits are the same people telling me cut police officers and fund education. Okay? Well, nobody cares about the police until they need them. I've needed them. I've needed them quite a few times, and it's sad to say they've saved my life. They were there for my son, okay? And they will be there for each and every one of us at some point in our life. So safety is first in my eyes, and I will not cut the Enfield Police Department. I think the Board of Education got a phenomenal increase, one of the largest increases that they have gotten in many, many, many years. So 2 years in a row, we've stepped up and we've done everything humanly possible for them. And most of them are appreciative. So on that, go ahead, Bob.
I know you want to get the final word in. I did have my hand up, but that's okay. All right.
I thought you already talked.
Not about this. Okay. Yep. First of all, I want to commend the town manager, and I want to commend the superintendent for their proposed budgets. Their budgets were to maintain the services that we have here in town, and that goes through all of the amendments on the total main resolution here on the main budget. They were fair. In order to move this town forward, those were respectable budgets that were given by the superintendent and by our town manager. We cut close to $4.5 million off of their budgets combined. And I can sit here and I understand and I respect everybody's opinions in regard to the budget. A lot of people are going to be affected by this particular decisions that were being made. I know I will not be in support of what's been proposed here tonight, but I just wanted to give a shout out to the town manager and to our superintendent for their budgets that were presented for this upcoming year. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Bob.
Yep.
Councilman Mangini.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to reflect on a couple of things. I think we all owe John Wilcox a great deal of thanks. This man has, in addition to the superintendent and town manager's office, he has jumped whenever we say jump, and he's done it. And thank you for that. That's hard work that you've done. You've been there every step of the way with us, and it's much appreciated. So I wanted, to comment on that. I also want to comment a couple of things that disturb me about the town budget is the loss of 4 custodians. I don't know how we're going to survive that piece. It's, in my opinion, unacceptable. IT is another area. $100,000, I just can't process that. So the last question that I have, with the Board of Ed, superintendent had worked with the Board of Ed looking for a 5.57% increase, and we are going to honor 4%. They can't function that way. There's no way that, the schools can survive. So I'm very disturbed by that piece as well. So I just wanted to bring that forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Mangini. All set?
Thank you.
Oh, Councilman Hendrickson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I know you wanted the last word, so I'm sorry. I got to say something after hearing the other side. And I just want to say that this budget was, out of the 2 I've done at this level, this was much better than the first one. Just for the work that the department heads, the town manager, the superintendent put in, and the work that we did up here going line by line on this budget. It is easy to look at a budget and go, yep, we need everything, and just go sign off on it. It is the hard thing to go line by line, look carefully at some of the cuts that we proposed, and I will say that department heads came back and fixed those right away. It's not easy to cut any budget. I've done this a lot in my other previous work, and just to accept in a budget, accept it and just say, it's great. I know you guys did the best you could, and you should get everything. It's not fair to the people that put us up here to look after their tax dollars. I, too, would like a 0 tax increase. It hurts everybody. Even some of the the volunteer tax credit, which hurts me. I work for nonprofits. I help them out. I volunteer. I'm on the board. To propose a $400 tax break for them and then to tax them $700 on the other side makes 0 sense to me. We talk about protecting seniors, but it kind of goes backwards to say, we'll give you the $400, but then we're going to tax you $700 just because we think the budget's great the way it is. I want to thank everybody up here for doing the hard work to look at that budget, and it is tough making cuts. You're never going to make everybody happy. I'm not up here to make everybody happy. I'm up here to look out for as many people as I can and move the town forward. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Sikala.
Against.
Counselor Crisati.
Against.
Counselor Hendrickson.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Mangini.
Against.
Counselor Nasuda.
4.
Mayor Nelson.
4.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
4.
Counselor Russo.
4.
Counselor Santinella.
Against.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
7 members in favor, 4 against.
Thank you. CIP. So next is the resolution for the CIP capital improvement plan. Do you have it, Mike?
I don't know.
It's got to be in your packet.
It's not in my packet.
It's in the
No, if it's in the back of the amendment, okay.
Yeah, it's right.
Please.
All of them are on here. Do you know how to click on them?
No, but I have the rest.
You have the other
Yeah.
resolutions? Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Gina. All right, next is to adopt the resolution for the capital improvement plan. Resolution that the town council of the town of Enfield hereby finds and determines that each capital project for the 25-26 fiscal year indicated as a series or as a specific capital expenditure in the capital improvement annual budget shall constitute a single appropriation of funds for said series of expenditures. Date prepared 5/6/2025, prepared by Finance and Town Manager.
So moved.
Motion's made and seconded. Are there any comments on this? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Counselor Sakala.
Against.
Counselor Crisati.
Against.
Counselor Hendrickson.
For.
Counselor Ludwig.
For.
Counselor Mangini.
Against.
Counselor Nasuda.
For.
Mayor Nelson.
For.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
For.
Counselor Russo.
For.
Counselor Santinella.
Against.
Counselor Ungary.
For.
7 members in favor, 4 against.
Thank you, Sheila. And thank you, Gina. I'm going to get used to this. Next is to adopt the resolution for LoSiP. Resolved that the Town Council of the Town of Enfield does hereby appropriate LoSiP grant funds in the amount of $440,000 for the following purpose in accordance with the 25-26 annual operating and capital budget. Roads 2021 paving projects, $440,000. Date prepared 5/6/2025, prepared by the Town Manager.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please. Roll call, please.
Counselor Sakala.
For.
Counselor Crisati.
For.
Counselor Hendrickson.
For.
Counselor Ludwig.
For.
Counselor Mangini.
For.
Counselor Nasuda.
For.
Mayor Nelson.
For.
Deputy Mayor Pisner.
For.
Counselor Russo.
For.
Counselor Santinella.
For.
And Counselor Ungary.
For.
11 members in favor, none against.
Next is a resolution for the Education Block Grant. Resolved that the town schools budget adopted by the town council in the amount of $79,098,023 included the anticipated revenue of $28,380,144 from the Education Block Cost Sharing Grant and Special Education Grant, ECS. Date prepared 5/9/2025, prepared by Finance and Town Manager.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any comments? Councilman Santinella.
Yep, I'm going to be very brief. We have talked about this. I am not supporting this budget. I appreciate the, I appreciate where you ended up, and this is better than I thought we were going to do, and I am grateful that we got to this point, but I don't think this meets the needs of our district, and so I will be voting no on this, as I believe the rest of us will, but I just wanted to make that one comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? So I just want to say this is, and if you watch the budget meetings, this is where the $1.4 million that comes to the town of Enfield in this grant is trying to be removed from this number and given directly to the Board of Education. Now, if they do that after this budget we just passed, we also have to give them the 1.4 on top of it, so it's double to make up for it. I know Councilman Santinella had good intentions, but it kind of messed things up and confused things for everybody. And even the superintendent said, well, if we're still only getting 1.4, what's the difference? Why? Yes, a lot of other towns do it that way, but for some reason Enfield and 3 other towns were frozen. I'm under the understanding that that was a good thing, because if the state did the 10-year look back, we wouldn't have been froze at the $28 million. So I do support this, and let's see if Councilman Santinella can pull this off. And if he does, great. And if he doesn't, I know we have committed to fund what he can't at the state. So either way, the board has our commitment, and I want to say it publicly, for that $1.4 million. So roll call, please.
Counselor Sikala?
Against.
Counselor Crisati?
Against.
Counselor Hendrickson?
For.
Counselor Ludwig?
For.
Counselor Mangini?
Against.
Counselor Nasuda?
For.
Mayor Nelson?
For.
Deputy Mayor Pisner?
For.
Counselor Russo?
For.
Counselor Santinella?
Against.
Counselor Ungary?
For.
7 members in favor, 4 against.
Thank you. Next is the resolution setting the tax rate. Resolved that a tax rate of 31.50 mils be set on the real estate and business personal property grand list of October 1st, 2024 for the town of Enfield and shall be payable in 2 semi-annual installments, July 1st, 2025 and January 1st, 2026. And be it further resolved that a tax rate of 29.21 mils be set on motor vehicle grand list of October 1st, 2024, and shall be paid in full on July 1st, 2025. And be it further resolved, however, that real estate and personal property taxes amounting to $100 or less shall be paid in full on July 1st, 2025. And be it further resolved that any motor vehicle, real estate, or business personal property taxes in the amount of $5 or less shall be waived pursuant to Connecticut State Statute 12-144C. Date prepared 5/9/2025, prepared by Finance and Town Manager.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, the only one I'm going to say is this, the automobiles tax was reduced by the state of Connecticut, tied the hands of the municipalities all over the state. Here it is, they take credit for cutting your taxes. Well, they didn't cut state taxes. They cut local taxes, and the towns have to make it up somewhere. So that was a shift, kind of like the assessment several years ago. And the assessment's going to be next year. So next year is going to be extremely tough. Roll call, please.
Counselor Sikala?
Against.
Counselor Crisati?
Against.
Counselor Hendrickson?
For.
Counselor Ludwig?
For.
Counselor Mangini?
Against.
Counselor Nasuda?
For.
Mayor Nelson?
For.
Deputy Mayor Pisner?
For.
Counselor Russo?
For.
Counselor Santinella?
Against.
Counselor Ungary?
For.
7 members in favor, 4 against.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion's made.
So moved.
All in favor? Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.